Our speaker tonight is one of Australia's leading company directors, an award-winning expert on leadership and corporate culture, commentator on diversity and inclusion, and an author. She has had an incredibly diverse career, starting with joining the military at age 17, graduating as Dux, or her Air Force graduating class at the Australian Defence Force Academy, then posted to an F-111 squadron, went on to study law and became admitted as a solicitor, became the CEO of a global consulting business before completing her PhD in leadership and governance and embarking on a career as a professional company director. Her current board appointments include the wonderful Australian Broadcasting Company, the SCA Property Group, EML Payments and Pine Timber, where she's the chairman of the People and Remuneration Committees for each organisation. She has been named one of the Australian Financial Review's 100 Women of Influence, been awarded a Sir Winston Churchill Fellowship, and received the Queensland Award for Excellence in Women's Leadership by Women and Leadership Australia. If that wasn't enough, she was the creator of the Walkley Award-winning nominating hashtag Celebrating Women, which became a viral social movement, and she's also the author of Womankind, a book about unlocking the power of women, supporting women, and the story of her hugely successful campaign. There is so much more, but we would need to be here all night and we wouldn't even get to hear from her. So could you please now join me in putting your hands together for the one, the only, Dr. Kirstin Ferguson.
Thank you very much. I feel it's hard to compete at the moment with everyone still searching for their tickets under their seats. I have nothing to offer you whatsoever. But it is really a thrill to be here amongst literally hundreds and hundreds of men and women, all here to celebrate tonight's finalists and ultimate award winners. Every woman named tonight quite rightly deserves their time to shine for their leadership, their innovations, their expertise, and their contributions within the technology industry. Every finalist will hopefully feel incredibly proud of themselves, for we all know that their achievements, their expertise and their contributions will have been accumulating over a significant period of their careers. These recognitions do not just happen overnight. To those finalists, I know your stomach will be fluttering about now and you'll be hoping, very humbly of course, to hear your name called later on. Please know it really isn't about whether or not you win. Maybe it's just a little bit, but let me explain why. You have already won simply by being a finalist. In fact, you won the moment you were prepared to nominate yourself or be nominated. Because simply by being involved in these awards, you've demonstrated the courage and leadership to put yourself forward, to role model to others what's possible, and to be prepared to celebrate your successes. You've kicked the all too familiar imposter syndrome to the curb, at least for one night. And for that, thank you, because we need role models like you to show what is possible for others. Now, without taking anything away from the finalists and winners for tonight and the long list of award alumni from the past 20 years, I believe that tonight is actually also a much broader celebration. It's a time for us to take stock of how far the technology industry has come in supporting women. There is, of course, always much more that can be done. But the 600 men and women in this room tonight are also here for much more than just to celebrate the winners, but to join in this continued momentum that having women at all levels and across all areas of expertise in your industry can bring. Now, before I go much further, I'm going to echo Joel and remind you to get out your phones and keep them with you tonight, because I'm going to be talking about how we can celebrate one another and amplify each other, and social media is a wonderful way of doing that. You know the hashtag WiT Awards, so let's try and make sure it trends tonight by celebrating those who win, other women who are here, and importantly the wonderful male allies that are in this room tonight who are simply so vital for all we want to achieve together. Now, you heard a little bit about my career at the start, and it's been incredibly diverse. I sit on a range of boards, I am chair of a leadership awards. I'm part of She Starts in the tech industry. It's an incubator for female-led tech startups. I'm a mentor with the Superstars of STEM program with science and technology. And most recently this week I've become an author. I started my career on Wednesday actually. Very exciting. Here's a funny story. I didn't really think my audience would be from Big W, but it sold out in Big W. So from a financial perspective, that's not a bad thing. So that's quite good. And I'm on the Today Show on Tuesday. Never thought I'd be there. But anyway, I digress. As you heard, I started my career in the military at the age of 17, training to become an Air Force officer. In fact, there's someone in the room tonight who I hadn't seen for 25 years, and we were at the Australian Defence Force Academy together. I was fortunate that at ADFA I did really well, and so I got a bit of a dream posting to an F111 squadron here at Amberley, and I am a walking cliche. I was 21, I was single, I'd clearly watched Top Gun far too many times. I met my husband on the second day, he was flying F111s, tick, the rest is history on that front. I can tell you the gloss of seeing someone in a flying suit wears off pretty thin though, after 20 odd years of marriage. Anyway, he's not here tonight, so don't tweet that. You know how I'm saying tweet? Don't tweet that. He's wonderful. I'm full of respect for everything he's ever done. Anyway, I soon studied law and I went to a large corporate firm, and then I became CEO of a global consulting business, and then created this sort of full-time non-executive director career. Now, if you had told me at any point during that 20-odd years that I would have found myself writing a book called Womankind, I would have thought you'd lost the plot. I would run from women's events at the very first chance. I actually hoped that no one noticed I was a woman for most of my career. Yet here I am, absolutely passionate about helping women. And I want to sort of explain how I've got to this point, because I think my story probably resonates for a lot of other women as well. Now, as well as my busy board career, I've got a bit of a side hustle, and I love social media. So if you are online, find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I think social media is a fantastic way for us to network and connect and understand what's going on in the world around us. That's also how I came to call myself, really the only term I can think of, which is an accidental activist. So visualise a holiday on the beach. Sand, sun, barbecues, swimming, and your mobile phone. Come on, who doesn't have their mobile phone while they're on holidays? Well, I did anyway. And last January, I was lying in a hammock by the beach. I was supposed to be reading a book, but I wasn't. I was scrolling through Twitter. And I noticed some online abuse targeting a well-known female broadcaster. And I remember just feeling totally pissed off. There was lots going on at the time. Hillary Clinton had lost the election. There were people knitting pink pussy hats around the world. And I saw this thread of tweets. I can't even remember what they said now, but obviously they weren't very nice. And I just remember thinking, enough. Enough is enough. It became a tipping point. And for anyone who uses social media, you would know that there is just an incredible amount of denigration facing women online, simply for having a voice or an opinion or being there. Anyway, I saw this particular thread of tweets, and I remember thinking that if I was standing next to this woman, who I happen to know, and someone had said these words, I would have done something. I'd call the police in some occasions, but I'd certainly do something. Yet online, you can feel so powerless. So on this particular day, maybe a bit too much beer, sun or sand, I'm not sure, I found myself ready to act. Now, I knew I didn't want to focus all my energy on the trolls themselves. It's just not the person that I am. But I wanted to see if I could find a way to make social media used for good, and just to see a little bit more celebration of women rather than denigration online. I've always believed that every woman is a role model, and I thought it might be possible just to make those role models visible by sharing women's stories and celebrating all that they've achieved. Without any idea what was to follow, I rang my mum. Now, I didn't tell anyone this was my mum when I did it, but I asked her 4 questions. I shared her answers and some photos, and just to see what happened, it took off. So people were interested in her story, she got celebrated, I felt good. Now, I am never one to do things by halves. So I made a very bold public commitment the next day that I would see if I could celebrate 2 women from all walks of life and from anywhere in the world every single day of 2017. I had no idea where those women were going to come from or whether they'd be willing to put themselves forward. But I thought that if I could create an inclusive way of doing it, an authentic way, women might want to get involved. And they did. And what might have begun as a way to drown out that online denigration soon morphed into something much, much more, and a real movement around the world of women supporting women. There were no barriers to entry. Every single woman who contacted me and answered the questions were included. So I celebrated women as diverse as a competitive barbecue lady from America, not surprising, a teacher from Kabul, the foreign minister. We had a pet whisperer, no surprise, from California. There was a lady who taught flower crown making classes in Melbourne, so who knew that was a thing? And every woman, regardless of who they were, was only introduced by their first name. And what ended up happening is the campaign made visible role models who we might not have otherwise seen. By the very last day of 2017, I'd achieved my goal of celebrating 2 women every day, and I celebrated 757 women from 37 countries around the world. What the campaign made clear is that there is a pressing need for all of us to challenge the view that only high-achieving or well-known women should be celebrated. There is no doubt that these rare leaders deserve praise, but the women we also need to remember and celebrate are those around us every single day. Women in this room, women in your families. Not every woman wants to become a brilliant Nobel Prize winning scientist or run a public company, but they still deserve to be recognised and celebrated. Most women want to live their lives in a way that makes a difference to the people closest to them and leaves a positive legacy. Every woman has done important things in their life, even if her stories or contributions have largely flown under the radar. So while we'll certainly celebrate the women tonight who receive the highest honours, I also want us to celebrate the women around us who are achieving so much every day and are already role models to others, whether they realise it or not. And I certainly don't want to forget the role of men in this celebration. While the Celebrating Women campaign I created had focused on making female role models visible, the level of support that came from men was crucial. The role of men during the campaign wasn't about providing a channel for male voices, but in supporting women to have theirs. Men play a critical role in using their positions, often positions of power, to step up beside women and listen, support them and set standards and role model behaviours, because gender equality is not a women's issue. It's an issue for all of us. And having men amplify and celebrate the achievements of women, as so many men here in this room tonight are doing, is vital. So my sincere thanks to all the men present here tonight for being men who support women and for being men who support women to celebrate themselves and each other. Obvious, having celebrated so many women over such a long period and seeing the impact it had, not only on the women involved, but the men and women who actively followed the campaign, was the sheer strength of collective shared power of women and men supporting other women. Here tonight in this room, there's 600 of us who I genuinely believe want to see others succeed. So how can we play our part in supporting other women? I've called it the amplification effect, and I think it happens if we all play our part to amplify the women in our lives. So firstly, keep doing what you're doing. Keep coming along to events like this, supporting organisations like Women in Technology. Keep being available to the women in your life when they need you. You certainly don't need to start your own social media campaign to make a difference, but you can do it every day through liking, sharing, commenting on social media so it ends up in your news feed and a woman is then introduced to a whole new network. You can recommend women for jobs, speaking opportunities, awards, board roles, volunteer positions, scholarships. To the women in the room, you can spread the word about the work that you are doing, the promotion you've received, the degree you have completed, since doing so encourages other women to do the same. And when they do, make sure you share their news, congratulate and celebrate them too. Tonight, as we celebrate our finalists and women in the technology sector more broadly, it's worth reminding ourselves why celebrations are so important. Tonight, we are here to celebrate outstanding women in technology who rightly deserve to be acknowledged and rewarded. Women who have been identified as leaders in their field, women who are role models and beacons to follow for other women who aspire to follow in their footsteps. Women who have overcome obstacles, biases, pay gaps, busy, complicated lives to succeed. Women who absolutely deserve their time to shine. Celebrating our successes is critically important, I think particularly for women, because what I know for sure is that the imposter syndrome is alive and well in 2018. If you ask virtually any woman, they will tell you that they have not done anything worth celebrating. There's an ingrained reluctance amongst many women to put themselves forward, to say, even amongst family and friends, let alone work colleagues or strangers, that they are proud of whatever it is they may do. The finalists here tonight, women who did put themselves forward, are, I'm sure, glad they did. Not only would those women in our audience be releasing endorphins right now that will be making them feel good, then we're going to end up having a very lovely night. That positive feeling also reinforces their successes, and therefore also the behaviours and the confidence that you want to have in reserve next time you're faced with a challenge. Even better, being prepared to put yourself forward encourages others to do the same, since you can role model what is possible and you help to inspire them with your story, both the successes and the challenges. Every single woman here tonight who participated in these awards has role modelled for other women the power of putting yourselves forward and seizing opportunities. For that, thank you, since the ripple effect is enormous. In short, sharing stories and achievements such as we're going to hear tonight inspires others to excel and to make a difference. It helps others realise that it's also their time to shine. And that's what being a leader is all about, regardless of your formal position title. We are all leaders in our own lives. And as leaders, each and every one of us should be so fortunate to achieve our own goals, whatever they might be, have a responsibility to help others get there too. To our finalists, whether you win or not tonight, others are going to look up to you to role model how they can find themselves in the same position as you in years to come, how they can achieve all that you have achieved. Take that responsibility seriously. But rest assured, you are not alone, because tonight is a wonderful reminder that we all have a responsibility, men and women, to continue to help other women however we can. We can all amplify one another in our own ways every day. Do not underestimate the collective power that we bring together. I firmly believe that we need to forget the old saying that if we should be so successful as to achieve our own goals, we should drop the ladder down and help the next person up behind us. I believe we should forget the bloody ladder. A ladder is only ever designed for one person at a time. And in fact, it's designed so you hold on with both hands for dear life so that no one can get past. What Celebrating Women has taught me is that we need to throw down a fishing net so we can bring up many, many women together. I know everyone in this room will seize that challenge, thank you, and I look forward to crossing paths with you at some stage in the future. To all the outstanding finalists in tonight's awards, my deepest, most sincere congratulations. And to everyone else in the room tonight who have come here to honour these leading women in technology, thank you for the support that you provide all women through doing so. Thank you very much.